Warrior, welcome to another important video. It's so great to be able to communicate with you in this way. And if you haven't already subscribed to this channel and hit the bell for all the notifications, please do and receive the best anxiety support on YouTube. My friends, I've been getting a lot of emails lately. People asking me, Dennis, where do I start this journey? Where do I begin? And I felt like it was really important today to revisit some very important principles that we need to apply each and every day in our lives to feel like there's a shift happening. Because let me be honest with you, during my days of, okay, here, it's going to happen, I'm going to commit to this healing journey, when those occurred, I realized that I truly didn't understand what healing was. I thought that healing was to heal situations. I didn't realize that at an unconscious level, there were things happening each and every day. There were perceptions about myself and the world that I needed to resolve, I needed to change. And all I did was I kept placing band-aids on each and every situation and each and every fear. And that wasn't healing. That was coping. And I didn't want to spend the rest of my life coping with anxiety, coping with this sensitized feeling, because I lived with health anxiety. And health anxiety is living a life of prevention, hoping that the worst doesn't happen each and every day. And if there's prevention, there's no creation. So I never found myself creating or being unique. Generalized anxiety was living life based on distractions, right? Making sure that that anxiousness didn't show up in that moment and finding ways to distract myself from feeling that way and acting a certain way. So today, let's focus. Let's really focus on some key principles that will help you begin this journey the right way. Number one is that you need to understand your body better in order to understand your mind better. In today's world, with anxiety, we call it mental health. It's a mental health problem. It's a mental health illness. It's a mental health disorder. But the truth is that the mental aspect of things is just a very small piece of a much larger pie. Anxiety has a lot more to do with other things aside from just being mental. And we need to understand our bodies because our bodies are carrying around these feelings. And you're here listening to this video not because you want to think differently or think better in some way. You want to change the way you feel, right? That's it. I want to feel differently so that my inner and outer worlds can change in a positive manner. So we need to understand, why is this body carrying around this feeling each and every day? Sometimes I distract myself from it, but it seems to be lingering in there all the time, a sense of sensitivity. So we need to understand our bodies. We need to make sure that we rebuild a new relationship with our bodies so that we can therefore understand our minds better. Why is my body carrying around this feeling? What does this symptom mean in terms of a message it's trying to send me? What is unresolved in terms of trauma and past experiences? Who have I not forgiven in my life? What is my body telling me? This is a great place to start. So stop focusing so much on understanding your mind and begin understanding your body. And understanding your mind will be a byproduct of that. Number two is become aware of what doesn't work, right? People out there are always searching for, okay, put me on the right path, right? And I've been in this place. Put me on the right path. I'm not on the path I need to be on. I get it. To understand what doesn't work And therefore, to understand what will work, all you have to do is look at your most recent day full of anxiety. From morning till late morning, till afternoon, till evening, till nighttime. What happened, right? Those are the evidences, the cookie crumbs that will tell you what does not work. So you wake up. Do you have an intention for that day? What sort of techniques did you utilize in the morning to get yourself in a calm place and to reprogram your subconscious mind and body? Did you do any of that, right? Or did you begin by rushing through the day? Anxiety makes you feel like you need to rush all the time because there's a sense of a lingering danger that's following us if we don't continue to rush. There's all these weird perceptions that arise with anxiety, and it's all based around this fight, flight, or freeze mechanism. We, as warriors, have to see beyond our feelings. And sometimes these initial feelings turn into emotions. And when they turn into emotions, we know that consciously and unconsciously we did things that caused us to experience this negative emotion. So I want you today to look at your most recent day full of anxiety and to begin picking apart all the things that you did that caused you to experience a heightened sense of anxiety for that day. I promise you that if you do this, you're going to find that there's a lot of things that you do that you don't realize you do. Most of what we do throughout the day is very unconscious. And the only way to heal ourselves and to heal certain situations is to make things conscious around what we've been unconscious around for quite some time. So bring it to your awareness. Number 3 is to learn how to suffer intentionally so you don't have to suffer unintentionally. Interesting. I lived a big portion of my life looking for ways that I wouldn't suffer, right? And I realized that there was a lot of energy being used up simply by trying to prevent suffering from occurring. I hope this person doesn't get sick. I hope this person doesn't pass away. I hope I don't lose my job. I hope I don't lose this friendship. I hope I wake up with a certain amount of peace. I hope, I hope, I hope, I hope. If hope is a strategy for healing, you will continue to suffer. Hope is a beautiful place to start, but it's a horrible strategy for healing. So we need to understand that in order for you to heal, you have to suffer intentionally with the right intention behind it. What that means is if you feel anxious about going to the bookstore and conversing with someone, place yourself in that situation intentionally so that one day you may have to go to the bookstore and you don't feel so nervous and anxious about it. So you want to place yourself in these situations, but you also want to make sure that as you place yourself in these situations, you bring with yourself the intention for what you want to create, as well as your spear. What skill set? What are you going to work on? What are you going to focus on in those moments of anxiousness? Because let me tell you something. That anxiousness, whether it be prior to a situation or during, is nothing more than this inner child within you that still feels like it's wounded, that still feels like it needs to perceive things in a very threatening manner. This is based on past experiences and traumas. So when that inner child begins speaking through your body and speaking through your intrusive thoughts and speaking through your feelings, I've realized that the most important thing we have to do is collaborate and build a relationship with these feelings so that we can understand them more. Let me tell you something. When you can begin understanding the root causes of your anxiety and building the relationship with that inner child, you will naturally heal rather than forcefully. This is so, so important, warrior. Number 4 is make negativity clearing and emotional reframing techniques your primary skill sets. Primary skill sets. Because you need some tools, you need some skill sets. And my suggestion to you is to understand that many of the techniques that we think are going to work for us don't work for us. Because the only thing that's happening is we're, let's say, thinking positively and thinking differently. But the truth is that that thinking never gets us to communicate with the parts of our minds and our bodies that we need to in order to heal. We have to communicate with the deepest and most primal parts of our brains. That is our reptile or survival brains. And so many times we can think a different thought or perceive something differently or behave differently, but we never seem to shift the perceptions of that primal survival brain, right? Because its main job is to keep you safe. Okay, its main job is to maintain your survival. And when you have an initial feeling, you can rest assured that it's coming from that reptile brain. So what this means is negativity clearing techniques such as the gray room technique that you'll find in the End the Anxiety program, along with emotional reframing techniques that get you into an altered state where you slow down your mind, where you slow down your body, where you slow your world down. And at this point, you're no longer a name. You're no longer what you do. You're no longer your social circle. You're no longer any of those labels or judgments. When you're in that place and you feel like you're escaping the outside world, now you're communicating with that survival brain. And when you can begin to imagine your past differently or a future upcoming situation differently, rest assured that your reptile brain is also shifting its perceptual filters. The way it perceives life begins to change. So it's not just about, oh, I'm going to do this way of thinking today. Well, does that affect that primal brain? Does it affect your emotional brain? If it doesn't, things aren't going to change. So make negativity clearing techniques and emotional reframing techniques your main and primary skill sets that you use every single day. Because I promise you that when you learn how to communicate with the deepest parts of you and build a loving and balanced relationship with those parts, everything in the outside world will begin to shift along with things in the inside world. Number 5 is to understand how change is truly created. This is so, so important, my friends. Change is created through repetition and emotional amplitude. And you have to combine these two. Nothing changes until you have an emotional shift. What does that mean? That means that you have to get to an emotional different level towards those things that you fear. And in order to do that, you've got to create a certain amount of repetition. Many times people make this mistake of thinking that they do something good for themselves for a few days and they can feel better, put all the traumas aside, Put all those hidden messages coming from the body aside. Everything's going to get better. They may feel better for a short period of time, but the anxiousness and the distress tends to come back again. So it's our job to understand the power behind emotional shifts. I have an emotional shift right now. I feel neutral towards the very things that I'm afraid of. Beautiful. Because that emotional shift speaks to the deepest parts of us. And I will repeat every single day. I will repeat these primary skill sets. I will repeat what I need to do for myself every single day without focusing on the outcome. Forget the finish line. Forget looking to heal anxiety. Focus on emotional maturity, because that's where the key to freedom lies, my friends. These are important principles. I hope they spoke to you today. If they did, comment below. I want to hear from you. And remember that today, when you look in the mirror, I want you to realize that you already have everything, all the resources you need within you to heal yourself, not cope. Heal yourself for good. So do that today. Build that sense of certainty. I am certain that I am on the right path. And I promise you, I will do everything I can in my power to guide you in the right direction. Let this video speak to you. Share it with someone who needs it today. Give it a like if it spoke to you. And if you have any other questions on any of the most recent anxiety meditations that I made for you, head over here. I love you, and you are more than anxiety. Bye-bye.